Let's talk about format shifting, one of two private and domestic use exceptions to copyright infringement, which was introduced in 2007. The relevant sections are sections 109 A and 110 AA of the Copyright Act 1968. They prescribe the limited circumstances in which books, newspapers, periodicals, photographs, videotapes, and sound recordings may be lawfully duplicated. It also bears mentioning that copying computer games is not permitted. In order for the provisions to apply, the owner of the original must be the person making the copy, and the original must be a legitimate copy. The Act also prohibits 1. Making multiple copies in a similar format, either from the original copy or from subsequent copies. 2. Removing any anti-copying measure attached to the material. And 3. Selling, lending, or giving away any copy, although it can be lent to a member of family or household. It follows the protection will not extend to anyone contravening these restrictions. So what's the practical effect of all this? Well, the effect of these provisions in practical terms is that, as an example, books, newspapers, or magazines which have been purchased can be scanned into an electronic format and stored on a computer. Further, a hard copy photo can be scanned, or a digital file of same can be printed off, and a video cassette can be made into an electronic format such as a DVD. It is worth noting that the format shifting exception for films only applies to copies made from films in analog form. Accordingly, digital to digital copying is not allowed, and so the exception does not apply to copies made from DVDs and Blu-ray discs or digital copies downloaded from the internet. With that in mind, how does something like the cloud factor into all of this? Stakeholders have previously queried just how exactly the exceptions would handle the use of cloud computing, and whether such activities would come within the exceptions. The Australian Law Reform Commission suggested in its 2013 discussion paper on copyright and the digital economy that they may not, and that the exceptions, at least in their present form, are too prescriptive and inflexible to keep up with an evolving digital environment. By way of illustration, given that storing content on remote servers may require multiple copies, doing so may arguably mean a person will fall foul of the requirement that users only make one copy in each format. In much the same way, can the owner of the original still be said to be the one making the copy if a third party is involved? Regardless of the answer to this question, many submissions, including those made by Telstra, claim that third parties should be allowed to freely assist with backup, storage, and data recovery of legally acquired material on another's behalf, so long as doing so would not amount to the commercial exploitation of material simply under the guise of format shifting. The Communications Alliance submitted that there should be an additional exception expressly allowing consumers to back up their digital belongings for the purpose of data recovery, and that backing up should not require a further permission of the copyright owner, nor should it be restricted as to the technology used or the place where the stored copy is made or held. On the other hand, the ALRC received submissions expressing concern that to do so might allow users to copy copyright material which they are only entitled to access for as long as they pay a subscription fee. A digital subscription to, say, a magazine may come with access to the entire back catalogue, so should subscribers then be free to copy and keep that entire back catalogue? Foxtel and APRA, among others, maintain that they should not, as it would conflict with the rights holder's ability to exploit that content at a later time. Over 2 years later, the divergence in views persists and the issue remains largely unsettled. Thanks for listening.